spot, depending on the outcome of the Gloucester-Danvers game, and a potential co-championship of the Northeast Conference if Classical can win the game against English. And a little shoe on the other foot a little bit with the coaching staffs with me, Dave Dempsey and Gary Millay. But before we get to the two coaches that you see on the screen, remember our trivia question, the 4 games that you see up on your screen. You simply have to pick the winners and call 581-9061 and give us your selections. And then whoever has the most wins will go in our famous bowl, Paul Revere Bowl, for our drawings next week for our great gifts that we give away here on TV3. So Dave Dempsey to my left and Gary Millay to my far left. And Dave, I'll start with you. It's about I think it's probably a 720-degree turnaround. 6 wins in 5 years, and now you're looking for 10, a possible co-championship. And you know how he felt last year when he had to beat you on Thanksgiving Day, and he had little palpitations when James Resendez picked off the pass and looked like he was running it back. You may have a few of those this Thursday.
Well, I think it's going to be a great game Thursday. I think it's been a good year for us. I've enjoyed it a lot. It's been a lot of fun. I got a great group of kids that I've had an opportunity to work with over the years. You might say I know how Gary felt last year, but he didn't know how I felt 3 years prior too. So he's it was a long time coming, but it's been a real enjoyable year this year, and I've really had some fun, and the kids are having a good time. So that's important.
Well, the reason we say, of course, 720 degrees is because when English did it, they went 7-3, then 9-1, then 10-0, and they did it not gradually. They almost had 200 seasons in a row. But you've kind of done it all in one season. Now, even though you have a lot of the kids are 4-year players, it's still you didn't do it gradually. You just went out and did it.
Well, I think it was gradually coming, but I think it just came all together in 1 year. I think the big thing that came through for us this year was the offensive line, and we had a lot of question marks up there in the front going into the season. But we've got kids. We kind of told them last year at the end of the season who was going to be playing there and what they were going to be playing, and they started to work at it. Dave Morales and Brett Wigfall and Davin Clement and Nick Pepper-Lampros, and we threw a sophomore in there after the injury to Joe Pakowski at Matt Lorino, and those guys have come together as a unit and have played extremely well for us. So that's been the big change, I think.
Of course, one of the kids that's a little unsung for you. I mean, he does quite a bit for you, but when they talk about Wigfall and Resendez and Arthur Brown and Thornton, the quarterback, Echeverria, has done a pretty good job for you.
Well, Nisio Echeverria has done a nice job for us. He's only a junior, and he's taken his lumps as a young kid, as a freshman and a sophomore, and here he is, on a nice rollout. We showed a little option against Lynn Tech, and he's matured immensely as this year's gone on, and really has developed into a leader out in the field, and that's been a big part for us. His leadership, as you see there, taking the punishment and giving the pitch off to James Resendez's ball. So he's really developed, and he's handled himself well out there, and he's poised. He carries through on his fakes. Here's a nice pass to Joffrey Boyd. I believe that was against Dan Beverly. And here he is in the Salem game. Had some problems. He got away. This was a big play. This is a big point in the game for us. He gets sacked here. We're in trouble.
That's for
late
sure.
in the game. He gets the ball off to Joffrey, and it's things like that he's done, and he's held his composure, and he's worked hard. Here he is on a little QB keep up the middle and against Gloucester, and he's really done a nice job for us. Like I said, he's a junior, and he's done an excellent job. He plays well on defense for us. He's breaking up a big pass against Salem. The kid got behind him, but he had enough of an athletic ability to recover.
And that was very important considering you win the game by 1 point.
Sure.
That was a pass in the end zone.
Right.
Gary, I don't think that you and your coaching staff have got enough credit this year. I think everybody said Super Bowl last year. We expect another Super Bowl this year, but regardless of what happens, you are not going to have a losing season, even if you lose to Classical on Thanksgiving Day. And coming back, a building year where you didn't really have that much experience coming back, Mark Nickerson and maybe Wendell. Other than that, it was all sort of like green kids, and I think it was a lot to ask to do it 2 years in a row under those conditions. Like last year, you only had 3 kids coming back, and you go undefeated, go to the Super Bowl. You knew lightning wasn't going to strike twice, but I think you and your coaching staff have done an exceptional job this year.
Well, thanks, John. Again, we had 3 starters back: Mahoney, Valera, and Nickerson. And as Dave said, we were green up front. I mean, we've basically every kid that starts in the offensive line this year didn't play last year. Mahoney just played defense. Wendell Valera was our only returning lineman, but we moved him into the backfield as our fullback, and again, we had a lot of question marks up front. But, you talk about rebuilding, and, when you can win 5 games in a rebuilding year, you have to be pretty pleased with that. And, I can't say enough about the kids up front and Coach Gary Severka that works with them. They've done a good job.
Most people referring to last year saying, well, they only had 3 people coming back last year. But you had some kids in the line who had played quite a bit because you were 9-1 the year before.
Right.
And they didn't have total experience, but they had a lot of minutes up front. This year, as you say, you were almost totally green.
Yeah, we were. Last year we did. We had some kids that did see some time. And this year they were totally green. And, hey, to go, undefeated in the Northeast Conference 2 years in a row, never mind 1 year, it's a big task because it's a good conference, as everyone saw this year. You can never go in and week out. Someone's there, they're going to knock you off. Nothing is safe in this conference. So again, right now in our position that we're in, we're pretty happy about it.
Looking at your quarterback, Scotty Lynch, again, green coming in, had a couple of snaps. I really didn't expect to have snaps on Thanksgiving Day last year, but Chris Warren went down. He had a rush in and completed a big pass for a touchdown, as a matter of fact. But he's had a good season for you.
Yeah, Scott's done an excellent job. Again, last year he had to come in on Turkey Day against Glasgow and completed 2 big passes. Here you see him against Everett. He has a strong arm. He's a big kid. He's like 6'1", 6'2", 195 pounds. And he's learned a lot this year. I think he'll get better in time. He has to work at it. He's a big, strong kid. Like I said, when he runs with the football, he does an excellent job also. You see him here making something happen out of nothing against Salem here. And he just has to take the off season and really learn the position. Last year, he was really the backup, but Chris Warren, didn't have any problems last year until Thanksgiving Day, so Scott didn't really get many snaps. And in the JV games, he did a lot of running at fullback and quarterback. Here you can see his strength with his size. He runs the ball real well. This is a big run here for a touchdown against Saugus. It's just a simple sneak, and you can see because of his strength and his strides, he made a nice run out of that.
A little high-stepping into the end zone.
Yeah.
We get to your backfield, and very talented. You can't really key on any one person because you've got so many. I look and I say, your kids really complement each other very, very well. Arthur Brown, the fullback, just does his job. Thornton is the blue-collar worker. James Resendez-Ball, most people, the young kids probably don't understand when I say he's the Fred Astaire in the backfield, but he's exceptional.
Well, sometimes he's a little too much Fred Astaire for me, and I keep telling him where north and south is. But he's definitely he's an outstanding runner, as well as a he can receive the ball as well. Here he is in Lynn Tech, shows his strength, and he can run over people as well too, and that's why sometimes he questions his own speed. Here he is in Springfield on a nice screen pass that we got out against Springfield Cathedral. He gets to the outside. He does a nice job, and the thing about James is he's a worker, and he uses his skills very well. Here against Winthrop, he gets through. He gives a nice straight arm there, and once he's in the open, he's deceiving. He's tough to catch, and he gets the job done for us. The other thing with I think all of our backs is they're very unselfish. They do a lot of things for each other. As you can see, Artie Brown there leading for James, and it's been a real pleasure to work with these guys and have them play the way they do with each other, and they really do look up to each other. Here he is against Gloucester on a nice run. He had a nice night that night as well, and he's made a lot of things happen for us. He's got a little over 1,300 all-purpose yards. Broke the 1,000 mark last week against Swampskid, and here he is in the Marblehead game.
That was the one that got you going.
Yeah, that was the big turnaround in Marblehead. It was a real physical first half, but he made some things happen. Here he is on defense, coming up from his cornerback position, and he sacrifices himself for the team. He's very unselfish. The story about in the Saugus game when they said he was close to a record, and most kids would have been a little upset with the head coach for not putting him back in to run for another 20 or 30 yards to get a record or whatever it was. But he and I were actually kidding about it on Monday, and that's the type of kid he is.
Yeah, I know. You talking about Green coming back, the Green line, really Green at quarterback and in the backfield as well. You had the one real good football player in the backfield. Unfortunately, everybody was had his number before he got off the bus. Everybody was saying they were keying on him as the bus pulled up at Manning Bowl or the different stadiums, and he still managed to put up real big numbers.
Oh, Mark Nickerson's had a great year. 1,300 yards rushing, over 400 yards passing. We did his total offense last week. You see him here catching the screen pass. He has great hands. He's had, I think, 18 receptions. He's got 1,987 total yards, total offense. That includes interceptions, returnage on interceptions also. Here you see him against Saugus. This broke the game open for us here. Once he gets in the open, there's not too many kids that are going to catch him. He's got pretty good speed. Here he is against Swampscott again on the screen pass. I can't say enough about what Mark's done for us this year. And he had 2 TDs called back this year on punt returns. So, he ended up with 14 touchdowns. That would have given him 16. But again, everyone was keen on him, but he still got the job done. He had 225 yards and 3 TDs against Beverly, which gave us a big win there. And here against Gloucester right before the half, he brought us down within striking distance, and we scored before the half. And against Winthrop, he had a field day for 278 yards rushing in 3 TDs. Here he is against Beverly. This is the 95-yard run to start the second half, and really picked us up here. And Heckman showed some pretty good speed there too. But Mark's done it all for us this year. At the beginning of the year, we weren't giving him the ball enough, and me and the coaches just we said to ourselves that hey, he's our go-to guy. Let's give him the football, and we'll go as Mark goes. And again, I think the 1,300 yards rushing right now, Paul Halloran's gone back to 1970. That's a school record, but he's done an excellent job for us. Here, an interception to seal the game against Beverly. He had 6 interceptions for us this year, and he just did it. He's one of the captains, and he's been a great team leader this year, and I think he'll go on to bigger and better things.
The big thing, Gary, with him is I think a lot of people lose sight. They see what he does, like you mentioned, all the yardage and all the screen passes and the punt returns. People forget that he's an exceptional defensive player as well, a very good tackler.
Oh, definitely. I thought last year, he was one of the strengths of our defense, and this year here his defense isn't the same as it was last year, but he's also carrying the ball 20 to 30 times a game this year on offense, where last year, he had a lot more energy for our defense, but I felt last year that he was definitely one of the better defensive backs in the league, and this year also, he's a great tackler, and he has that speed. He can get to the football. He can, if someone gets behind him, he can use his speed to get there and break up the pass.
No question. Your other running back, Lex Thornton, he punishes people whether he's on offense or defense. He gets out in the open. He doesn't like it if he's open because he likes to see another helmet so he can put helmet on helmet and knock somebody down, even when he's carrying the football.
Well, I'll tell you, when you talk about a football player, you take a look at Lex Thornton. He's about as much of a football player as you're going to find in this area this year. You're right. He punishes people when he runs the ball. He's got deceiving speed. He's done it for us on defense. He's done the job for us offensively. He's just, he doesn't go around people, and very seldom is one person going to take him down. And if they do, there's going to be a collision, and there's a price to pay. He's a great kid. I see he's got a 3.6 grade point average in the college course, and he does it all. Here he is in the, I believe that was the Saugus game. Here he is in the Marblehead game. We just give him a little pitch and he finds an opening, but he's just gonna, he's gonna take people with him, and he's a punishing runner, and he's a heck of a football player, and he just makes things happen. He's very quiet, doesn't say much. He's not a rah-rah type of kid. You're not going to see him doing any showboating or anything, but he makes things happen, and he gets up and goes back to the huddle, and that's you like to see things about a kid like that.
The thing to me is we've seen quite a few of his runs. I think his strength right here is on his defense. Well,
I think the thing that really helps him defensively is his quickness. He's just really, he reacts so well, and a lot of people think we blitz him all the time, but we don't. He's a smart enough young man and a smart enough player that, we give him certain reads, and he just basically reacts to some reads. Here he is, hustling down a punt. His first one down, covering punts, and recovers a fumble against Gloucester, which gave us a big break, and we actually went in at halftime. We did put us up in the lead at 14-7 on that one there. So,
I was going to say that he's very deceptively quick. because he gets to the hole, as does James, very quickly, and people they just don't relate to that because they see him hit so hard, and like I've labeled him a blue collar worker,
Right.
but people don't realize that he is that quick, and I think that is one of his biggest assets that enables him to do all of this stuff. Jason Cupini has you started putting him in the backfield, started to run him a little bit more, I should say. He was playing defense for you. He's played good two-way football for you.
Well, Jason, I remember from his Pop Warner days, he was a real good running back. And the first 2 years, he just concentrated on basketball at English. And this year, he decided to come out, and here you see him against Saugus with a nice little run. Only a junior, you know, with Mark getting most of the work. Jason's been in there here and there. And he does an excellent job on defense from the strong safety spot. Here you see him against Gloucester, getting us back into the football game. Again, another kid with good speed. I just think this year here, Jason needed to get his feet wet again as far as football went. Like I said, he's been out of it for 2 years, and he's gotten better as every game went on. And I think he'll be a good back next year for us. You know, we've been fortunate that we had, you know, the Todd Gilberts and Damon Morris, and then Brian last year, and Mark this year, and hopefully Jason next year can fit in with all them guys. And you know, we're looking for big things from him next year. He'll go on and, you know, he'll do a good job in the basketball court too this winter, and you know, hopefully we can get him in shape and maybe put a little weight on him in the off season. But you know, I'm looking forward to having Jason back next year at tailback. Like I said, I think he got better as the games went on, and I think he just needed that. Like I said, he got away from it for 2 years, and now he's getting it back. He's getting that football sense back.
Arthur Brown, the fullback, I had the pleasure of coaching this young man at the boys' club for a few games, and he's a fine young man. He's almost like if you're making up a blueprint, he'd be the type you'd make for the fullback, especially in the wishbone when you use it.
Yeah, I think the thing with Artie is he's an unselfish player, and you know, one of the things I said to him early in the season was that when we get down inside the 10-yard line, we're going to give him a shot at the end zone because he works all the time to get us down there, and he's the guy that really does it. And you know, he's very unselfish. So like I said, and when it comes time, in Springfield Cathedral here, and he makes a nice big play here to put us out in front, you know, he's got 7 touchdowns, and I think his record is every 8 times he touches the football, he scores a touchdown. So you know, that's one way that we work with Artie, and Artie knows how we feel about him, and he's done some big one. There's a big play for us in Salem.
None bigger than that.
That's it. There's the, you know, that was the one that set everything up. His in Saugus. And you know, the thing that we tell him all the time is, hey, he's going to get his against Winthrop. This is a big interception. You know, he does a nice job. He picks it off, and you know, he's going down the sidelines, and there's the big guy Wigfall. You know, stride for stride with him. You know, into the end zone, and he, you know, it's 81-yard interception against Winthrop. So he's done it on both sides of the football for us, and he's. You know, like I said before, he's a very unselfish kid. He's a wonderful kid to have around, and he's, you know, one of our 4 captains, and he's he, you know, comes from a great family, and he's just fun to be with. Here he is in Salem. He's as good an open field tackler as you're going to find as well too. So he gets the job done.
Looking at Wendell Valeria, you mentioned him before. You mentioned moving to fullback. He had a big game against Salem in the first half. He had about 50 or 60 yards in the first half against Salem, but he played on both sides of the ball very well too.
Yeah, you know, when you talk about unselfish, Wendell Valera, you know, did that this year. You know, he wanted to play fullback, and we put him in there, and he's got good speed, and he's a strong runner. And again, here he is against Bosco, and he had some real good runs against Salem, and then he twisted his knee. He had a problem with his knee and his lower ankle for a few weeks, so you know, it kind of hindered him a little bit. But I think Mark Nickerson will be the first one to tell you that you know, that 1,300 yards probably wouldn't have been possible without the offensive line and Wendell Valera. Wendell Valera is a great blocker. You know, that guard sense. We tell him he's our third guard in there. You know, but here he is catching a screen pass against Saugus, and he's capable. Once he gets outside, he's got, you know, decent speed for a big kid. And you talk about unselfish, he plays on the defense. He plays defensive end for us. He's got good lateral pursuit. Again, he was one of our, you know, 3 returning starters from the Super Bowl team last year, and one of our captains. And you know, he doesn't say much. Whatever you ask him to do, you know, he does it. And when he does it, he usually does it pretty good for you.
I guess so. A little look to the future for you. Kareem Gibson, I've been calling him Karam. But Kareem Gibson has done very well for you.
Yeah, Kareem is a sophomore, and you know, you talk about a find that is a diamond in the rough. This kid's got great speed. He's got great outside movement, and he just he runs hard, and he doesn't do much dancing. And I'll tell you, you talk about a kid that doesn't say much. We have a joke on the team. This kid could do it. He could give me an obscene phone call at my house one night, and I wouldn't be able to recognize the voice. That's how few words I've heard this young man say. He's just that's the kind of kid he is. He comes every day to practice, and he doesn't say a word, and he just gets out there and works. Splendid kid to have around. He's just a pleasure to have on the team, and I think the thing that he really has done is he's helped our whole entire team because of his practice ethics get better. He keeps us working on defense, and anytime we want to simulate, here he is on defense, coming up in the cornerback, and the big boy from Danvers. So he's a hitter on the outside too. But like I said, his practice ethics has really helped us be a better team defensively, because when we put him on the demo, he's got the speed, and he can simulate any of the backs in the conference for us.
Looking at Leroy Brown for you, he's made some big catches, but amazing defensively. He's as good as probably as anybody's played in the conference. I see him blitzing. I see him back in the end zone, knocking passes down. He just seems to be where the football is.
We call him the snake. He looks like he recoils out there. He's about 120 pounds, and you see him before the game. He puts on more padding and long johns, and then the tights over him, and 3 pairs of shoulder pads and 2 thigh pads. And he defensively, again, he does an excellent job from our outside linebacker spot. And he's got soft hands. Here he is in the Swampscott game, catching a pass from Nickerson on the option pass. Again, you talk about Nickerson's yardage. It wouldn't be possible without Leroy, who's one of our wideouts, does an excellent job blocking on the outside. Here he is catching the touchdown against Swampscott. Again, usually when he's open, he comes up with the big catch for us. But I think, again, his strength is on defense. He does an excellent job at the outside linebacker spot. Last year as a junior, he had 2 big sacks against Swampscott for us that kept us in the game. Did an excellent job in the Super Bowl. There he is. We call him the Karate Kid. You see him taking on the double team and then pulling troops down from behind. And he's doing all this at, like I said, 120, maybe 130 pounds. And he does an excellent job. He doesn't give any ground. He doesn't take any ground. He just sits and plays, and he plays good defense. I felt, he was one of the top, outside linebackers in the conference this year, and he's only a junior, and he knows, next year he has to just get on the weights. And here he is with a big interception against Danvers. They were going in before the half. If he can get in the weight room and put some muscle on that body and maybe work on his speed a little bit, he'll be one of the top players in the conference next year.
Oh, I agree. The most I can say about the next young man that I'm going to pick, we're going to see on the screen, is he's one of the nicest gentlemen I've ever met in my life, even though he's a great football player and he knocks people around the football field. Joffrey Boyd is one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Well, I think the thing is, and most of the gentlemen on both people that we've seen here tonight, you can say that about. But he's a unique person in that very quiet, his intensity level increases on the field, but he's just a real quiet person, and he's a nice person to be around. And he's an excellent athlete. He plays the game as a receiver as good as anybody. He can catch the ball. He's got excellent speed, and he's done it. Like I say, he's one of the guys that we threw in there as a freshman and just kind of let him get his lumps, and he's matured into an outstanding football player as well as an outstanding young man. This was on the play against Salem late in the game where we just needed that first down, and we went to him, and he took care of it for us. This is him going over the top against Gloucester and scoring a big touchdown for us. He's got outside speed that he just runs laterally well. He plays defense, and like I said, he's a tough kid, and there aren't too many teams that are going to get outside on him. He's very disciplined, and he's easy to coach, and he's been a lot of fun for 4 years to have him around. And we're going to miss Joffrey Boyd. He just seems like he's been a permanent fixture there. His in the Winthrop game, he does a nice job on man-to-man coverage on outside, and picks off the pass. That's the beauty of having a Joffrey Boyd out there, is we can do some things with the cornerbacks and stuff and let him man up and kind of give a few different looks. Here he is, another big interception in the Salem game. This kind of put everything away and allowed us to come home with a win that day.
I think that was his biggest game. He had some, especially in the fourth quarter, he had some huge plays against Salem in a 1-point game that helped you win.
Yeah.
And I remember he came down here one night. He was on the program. I think what happened afterwards, he helped run the camera, I think, on one of the shows. But Dave Medrano, had some big catches for you, and he's a find for you.
Oh yeah, Dave, only a junior. He played tight end, and he played some outside linebacker for us also. Here he is against Salem with the big catch here, one tackle away. He does an excellent job blocking. Again, one of those guys up front that open up the holes for Mark and our other backs. Here he is with another catch against Gloucester. He's got he's got nice soft hands. He's a good sized kid, and he's a kid that comes. He's at practice every day. He works hard. He works hard at catching the football. We're looking for again next year. We're looking for some big things out of him defensively. This year here, he did a nice job. Here he is against Everett, going 75 yards on the interception. He did a nice job out there, and he's done a good job at outside linebacker. Him and Kevin Jollymore, who's a senior, have been splitting time out there, and we thought that going into the year that David would have a big year for us, and I think he's done that. But next year he needs to get to that next plateau and just work in the off season. He'll be playing basketball, and then once basketball's over, we'll try and get him to concentrate on football a little bit, and hopefully he'll have a good year next year also.
The other young man, Dave Clark, has been exceptional. I watched him one play. I think we're probably going to see it, where he lined up as your right defensive end and wound up making an interception in the back end of the end zone in the Salem game, which again was a 1-point win. That was a huge defensive play, but he's done many big plays for you all year.
Yeah, he has. David's another one who's matured a lot for us this year and has really come and done some nice things. Here's catching a slant pass against Winthrop, and he's had he's had a tough year. The loss of his brother in that car accident was a tough way for him to start, but I think he's kind of grown from everything and put everything in perspective. Here he is in Springfield making a big play from behind and a sack on the quarterback. Just doesn't give up. He'll chase him down, and this is where he's really come to play this year. Every year for us is on defense. We play him as an outside linebacker, and he comes hard. He works hard at it, and he likes playing that position, and it's fun for him. And he's another one. Here he is in Salem. See, we kind of backed him off a little bit and put him on some man-to-man coverage, and we could put pressure on the quarterback. And when you put somebody with his ability on man-to-man coverage, it's pretty tough to throw against him. That was a big play. I think that saved the game for us in the Salem game. That kept us in there.
I guess it did. Looking at Jamie Benevento, he's another one that Scotty Lynch liked to throw to and had some big receptions for you.
Well, we had problems this year. We had a lot of seniors come out, but unfortunately we didn't keep all of them because of the shortage on coaches and things like that. But we kept Benevento around because he wanted to be a backup quarterback, and he ended up coming in and be a starting wideout for us. He's got good hands. He has great moves. He's had some big catches. One there against Salem, a touchdown pass here against Saugus. Again, he got better. He got better. He hadn't played since Pup-Warner either, and he got better as the weeks went on at that split end position for us. Here was a big catch here on 4th down against Beverly. This was for our winning TD. He got us down within striking distance here. He almost broke it and went in all the way. That was when the ball game was tied, and he does a good job on special teams for us also. He plays cornerback, and he does an excellent job tackling, as does Nickerson. He comes up, and he does a good job. He doesn't let them guys turn the corner on him, and then here he is with an interception against Saugus. Again, he was a find. He was a senior that we kept him around as Scotty Lynch's backup because we had 2 freshmen other than Benevento, and he learned the offense and he wanted to catch the ball, so we put him out there, and he made some nice catches for us this year.
Yeah, he played extremely well. We're gonna lump 2 of you guys together to try and play a little catch-up here. We're running out of time a little bit, but Fialo and Eric Lane have been 2 big stories for you. Fialo with a very big play in the Salem game, and of course Eric is a story in itself.
Well, I think the big thing with Simon Fialo was, he came and he knew that there was some real competition at the 2 ends, but he did some things for us. Here he is, the same play that we scored in the big play in Salem, where we ran it against Tech. And then we didn't use it again. We put it on the shelf till the Salem game, and we knew that we were going to need it sooner or later for a 2-point conversion. And this is probably the biggest play that Simon will ever be involved in his high school career right here. But, I think the thing was that everything we've ever asked him to do, he's been at practice, and he's worked hard, and he plays behind 2 excellent athletes in Dave Clark and Joffrey Boyd. And it's, it hasn't discouraged him at all. He keeps working, and he keeps, he keeps pushing, and he wants to he wants to be a part of the team, and that's important.
And Eric Lane, we mentioned, has been a story and a half running back kicks. This is the big one against Gloucester.
Eric's completely deaf. I met Eric when he was in the 6th grade, and I've always been impressed with him as a person. He's got outstanding athletic ability, great instincts, and I just think that he's such a well-liked person, and he's. You talk about people with handicaps, and you talk about people with some disadvantages. He's got more than most people will ever realize.
It's incredible how the girl comes out of practice with the sign language. Briefly tell us what she does.
Well, Joyce Crane is an exceptional young girl. She's a senior at Classical, and we needed an interpreter for the sidelines, and she's been volunteer her time, as an interpreter for him, and she's a great person to do it, and those are the things that make for nice stories.
I guess so. We're going to continue with Gary Millay and Dave Dempsey, but first we're going to take this short break. We'll be right back.
Millions of Americans with disabilities are eager and able to contribute to society.
Welcome back, and we'll continue talking to Dave Dempsey and Gary Millay from Classical and English as we get set for this Thanksgiving special show. We wind down to the defense, and Gary, you don't win 5 games with a green team coming back unless the defense plays well.
Yeah, that's been our strength over the last couple of years. Not as strong this year, obviously, again, but we were a little green, and, here I think you see Rob Kempton coming up and making a nice tackle. He's only a junior. He's our middle linebacker, so he'll be back next year. And then John Mahoney was one of our tri-captains. He was back from last year here. John does a nice job in the defensive line, and we get DeLuca, Mancini, and Zimorowski all back next year. They're all juniors. We had another senior, Brian Dentremont, play a little bit in the defensive line for us this year, who gave them guys a bit of a spell here and there when they needed it, and he did a nice job when he was in there. So again, we were a little green on defense, but again, like you said, we won 5 ball games, and we got some kids that we can build on. You see Dentremont here with the sack against Saugus, and the kids up front, like I said, DeLuca, Mancini, Zimorowski, they'll all be back next year for us. So hopefully we'll be able to do a few things with our guys up front. They'll have that year under their belt. But overall, we thought our defense did a nice job for us this year. Overall, as a team, we had I think we had somewhere around 12 interceptions, and we did a good job. We didn't let up a great amount of points in the games we lost. We were close. So anytime you can do that with young kids, you have to be happy about that. Here you see Miko with the big tackle against Bosco on the option pass, and Leroy Brown, who you saw force the pass and then get out there and make the tackle. He's all over the place. So, we were happy with the way our defense played. And again, most of them will be back next year, so we're looking forward to that.
Dave, you went up the season, I think, somewhere around 7 points a game. The defense was exceptional, and I think when you talk to anybody in the Northeastern Conference, I think the thing they point to most of the time is the team's speed, and nobody really able to break a long run against you because of that speed in the backfield and the defensive ends as well.
Well, I think, as Gary said earlier, you don't coach speed and you don't teach it, but I think the big thing is that our kids, not only do we have good team speed, we just, we have tough kids that go out and whack you. Here's Brett Wigfall, he's a junior. All the big schools are calling on him already. Miami's called, Notre Dame's called. He's got great potential. He's just got to put it all together. He does it all. He's 6'3", about 250, 255, and he can dunk a basketball. So he's got all the tools. Here he is against Marblehead. He stripped Chew of the ball and gets down there and he can run to the sidelines. And the thing I like about him, he's got good instincts. He doesn't get he doesn't get sucked in. He doesn't make too many bad decisions. So. These are a couple of young kids back there, Simi Anderson and Calvin Johnson. That was Simi intercepting a big interception, and here's another one against Gloucester. Simi's only a sophomore. Calvin, I think you're going to see him next. We kind of threw them in. We said, hey, let's go with them. We know that they're both great athletes, and we can, put them in our secondary, and they made big plays for us. Here's a little razzle-dazzle against Beverly. Calvin Johnson just sits back, plays center field, and goes up and gets it. And you got young kids, and they can be that disciplined at that age. That's a real plus for us. This is Marblehead. We got some things going. This is late, and Calvin Johnson picks off the pass. He just, like I said, he's a disciplined guy. You're not going to beat him deep. He's going to get deeper than you, and Simi and him know, they know enough to sit back there. This is Davin Clements. He's a junior. He's another kid that's come along for us. We talk about some people up front. Him and Brett do a nice job for us up front, and they've really forced a few big plays for us. There you see 24. Of course, you're going to see him anytime you see us on defense. You'll see 24 in there, Lex. Derek Lane, another junior here, along with this was a big play in the Salem game, which kind of gave us the ball late in the game and allowed us to score on a little razzle-dazzle there.
I think you told me, too, that you expected the defense to give you the ball back before the game was over in a position to score.
Well, I think that was what we were relying on. The biggest thing I was concerned about in that Salem game was our defense breaking down and someone trying to make a big play and losing the continuity. We went in with a defensive scheme, and I just kept telling them, just hang in there, something's going to happen, something's going to happen. We were too close on several occasions that we knew we could get something going for defensively.
Okay, well, the only thing left to do now is play the games on Thanksgiving Day, and we hope all you people at home will get out and support your local high schools and help support the lottery as well. We mention that every Tuesday. And don't forget our trivia question for this week. The 4 schools that you see up on the screen are the ones you have to call. 581-9061 is the number to call to get in on the trivia and be in the hat for next week to be drawn out. Dave Dempsey, Gary Millay. Gary, I'm going to do the same thing I did last year. Last year when you got a shot at the Super Bowl, I said, Dave, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to root for Gary because Gary's got a shot at the Super Bowl. So I'm going to reverse it this year and say, Gary, I'm sorry. If you win, I'll be happy, but I'll be happy too if Dave wins because he's got a shot at the title and he's got a shot at a playoff berth. So I'm sure you know where I'm coming from. Gary, as usual, you guys have been terrific all year, and we really appreciate all the help you give us. And good luck to both of you on Thanksgiving Day. Our trivia question last week was Roger Clemens won 3 Cy Young Awards.
Good ball reverse.